Welcome to our podcast, It's About Payroll. We're your hosts, Brian Escobar and Walter William Duncan III. Whether you're new to the payroll game or a seasoned veteran, we have something for you. All right, folks, we're back with another episode of The Pay Stub. And today's episode, we are covering net pay. Is that right, Walt?
Yep, we're going over net pay and giving you some tips on your stub.
Yep. So we've covered a lot of stuff now. We talked about earning, talked about deductions, involuntary, voluntary. We talked about pre-tax deductions, post-tax deductions, actual taxes.
Yes.
And now all of that, we get to the final product, which is the net pay, which you take home. A lot of people say your take-home pay, right?
Yep.
There's jokes around it like, oh, what's gross is gross is not gross. It should be net. We always joke around. Take-home should really be called gross because it's gross what you take home. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So
you have a funny story about net pay?
I do, of course.
Yeah.
And it's not even it's interesting because I overheard this as a kid before I even got into payroll, clearly. And then it was like, whoa, net pay. So anywho, one of my aunts, I was like overhearing a Sunday dinner and all my aunts are talking and whatever. And they're talking about the pay and of Puerto Rican descent. I'm a New Yorican. So my aunts are, and I'm first generation born in here in the U.S. All my family was born in Puerto Rico. So anyway, the language barrier, understanding different things. So whatever. So she thought net pay was like the next paycheck.
Oh,
the next.
Bro, that's so funny.
Hey, look, I got this now, but mira, net pay, otro, like another. Oh, bless her heart. God bless her. Hope she's good. But yeah, man, that was what about you?
Man, I don't think mine is as good as that, but like I was explaining to an employee, and he said the funniest thing I thought was the funniest thing to me at the time, and he said his definition of net pay was like when you're out fishing and you get a fish, that's net. That's how much you caught in your net. That's how much I should get paid. I'm like, no, sir, that's not how it works.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious, bro.
Like,
it's pretty good. No. That one's pretty good too.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, that's not how it works, sir.
And this was he? Was he American, like native born? Or,
yeah.
And that was my point, is to say that's why this series is so important, because there's still folks, and we are out there. Look, and there's tons of things that we're ignorant about, but there's still folks out there that struggle with this stuff and understanding their paycheck. And point is, there's a lot of sometimes there's a lot of information on your paycheck, and hopefully this series will help you all, give you all enough to go out and research more. And we don't know it all, but at least we can be savvy and just research the things that are impacting your life, right?
Yes.
I think that's sidebar. Life people are always like, "Oh, Brian, you're so smart," and I'm like, it's a compliment. I do think I'm a smart person. Of course, I think we all have the capacity. But what I've done in life is I research the things, I learn about the things that impact my life. So when I'm having normal conversations with other humans, it's normal stuff, and I get to talk about it because it's impacting my life. It's probably impacting theirs. So they're like, "Oh, wow, look at that." So that's really all it is. I have a diligent learning regimen, right? I make sure I'm always learning something. I'm researching something. So should you all, right, with your paycheck.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And one thing I think for me personally that helped me as I started looking at my pay stub more and more was to cut out some of the distractions in my life, right? So I instead of always having my phone in my hand on payday, or if I had my phone in my hand, I could look at my stub online and view it while I'm on my phone. Just take that minute, look at your pay, like Brian was saying, and just make sure that it's correct. There was a situation I remember where this employee, she was a hardworking employee. She just came to work every day. She never called out. I think she was like a janitor at one of the schools that we did payroll for. And she was getting underpaid. She was getting paid less than minimum wage. And nobody caught it. And it was like going on. It was going on for a long time. I think she got like almost a year or two of retro.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
It was
God
like
bless
that.
her.
Yeah. And she said, I didn't know. She said, I never checked my stub. I just know the money goes into my account. And it was caught by accident. Somebody caught it and was like, "Oh man, this rate is wrong."
So that's a great call out. One for consumers. See how easy it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
For us, because as a consumer, as a trusting consumer, you might be like, "Oh, that's a horrible mistake. I don't think that should ever happen." Or and then the computers and blah blah blah. But a
Mm-hmm.
computer is only as good as you program it to be.
Yep.
So the sidebar, the professional sidebar for that is your HR and your payroll department should be reviewing annually rates,
Yeah.
at least annually,
At
more
least.
and
At
to
least.
to to combat, to be proactive about things like that is basically you should be auditing your data and your pay rates to
Yes.
make sure that none of your pay rates are below minimum wage for that state. Okay, again, but not all of them. I'm not aware of any of them that alert you to this. The Now I would think good idea. Hey, folks, let's make that happen if we don't do that already. But I know the system that we use does not do that. Does not
Mm-hmm.
automatically tell you, hey, you have rates below minimum wage in a certain state. So you have to audit for this, right? You have to make sure that your system and your all your pay rates are in compliance. And as a
Yep.
payroll professional, we do this I do it every time I have a minimum wage impact. So meaning I may be in one state and that minimum wage was raised. I go audit for all of them at that point. Why not?
Yeah.
Just why not? Because again, you don't do it often, and
Mm-hmm.
you should at least you shouldn't have to because your rates are good. But anywho, I'd probably do it more often than necessary because why
Mm-hmm.
not? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, that's a great call out, and that's a really good one, man. Because it's like this is why, and it's like we talked about in the tax episode or one of these
Mm-hmm.
episodes.
Mm-hmm.
We had a employee in prior years that went like a whole year paying a income tax to the wrong state.
Uh-huh.
And it's in the description. Like they lived in one state and they're paying it to another. If they
Yep.
looked at their pay stub, they would have saw, oh my, why am I don't live in this. What's going on here?
Yeah, man.
And it wasn't a lot. So that's probably why they didn't really get the impact. But at the end of the year, it was like $650.
Wow. Yep.
That's you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? It's not a lot per check,
It's not a
but
lot. Yep.
at the end of the year, it added up to that is when he caught it. And oh my goodness.
Yep.
And so folks, it's not computers are only as good as the humans running them.
Yeah.
And we are not in a place where full AI is processing our paychecks. Me and what we're just talking about it
Mm,
before we started recording this, we were talking about AI
yep.
and how it's going to impact payroll.
Yep.
And maybe it could get there one day,
Yeah.
but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you got to be diligent and look at your pay stub, and part of that is understanding the gross to net calculation.
Yep.
And again, as a payroll professional, I've taken it for granted. It is a complex calculation. If you look at that link that I posted there, it's or other links or whatever. I'm just research gross to net, and it could get a little hard. It's
Mm-hmm.
not as the easy explanation is it's your gross pay, right? Your dollar amount times your hours worked gives you a
Mm-hmm.
gross number,
Mm-hmm.
and then you take away minus your taxes minus your deductions, and that equals your net pay.
Yep.
But your some of these deductions are flat amounts. Taxes are
Yep.
percentage amounts that are dynamic with your gross pay. 401k, depending on what you pick, could be a percentage and is dynamic. Dynamic meaning changing based on your gross pay amount. So if you're thinking, oh, Social Security or rather, whatever, it was this last week, so let me do that amount. No, no, no. It's going to be a difference. It's going to fluctuate based on your pay. So it
Mm-hmm.
does get complicated,
Yep.
but you should, as a consumer, as a savvy consumer, spot check your pay. And especially if you have a lot of things going on. You
Yep.
know what I mean? You start doing pre-tax benefits and you start taking care of the advantage of your benefits and things like that. It complicates and if you're in a state that has a lot of things coming out. And so it's not as easy as I thought for the consumer to do it. So you should take
Mm-hmm.
some time to calculate that amount and understand your pay, understand your net pay.
Absolutely.
What are some of those tips you have for us for consumers, right?
Yeah.
That they should take away from just reviewing their pay stub in general.
Yeah, so they're not ranked in order, but these are just
No,
some
no,
of
of
the
course not.
things that you should definitely check. And I'll tell some stories. Like the first one I have listed here are always check your pay rate
Yep,
and your hours. Brian, you just touched on that when you
yep.
were just speaking just a moment ago. You need to check that stuff because again, like I have another situation. I remember another situation where there was this manager who was going in, and because she wanted to make sure that her school stayed under her place of business stayed under budget, she would alter her employees
Oh, jeez.
timesheets, and she was doing it for
Yes,
years. She was doing it for
yes.
years so they wouldn't get OT.
Overtime. Oh
So,
gosh,
so,
yeah, a
so,
lot of, yep.
so everybody praised her. Oh my God, her school is always under budget. Her
Oh
school is
my
always, oh my, it's
goodness.
so amazing. And the teachers had no idea until one person questioned it and was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and I don't know what to do. I
This
just
rate
thought,
don't. Yep.
yeah, and like, and she was more. Can you just check it for me? I think that she's right. I think that, but I just want to make sure. And we did an investigation on it. Ended up costing the company like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. And that's a great call out. And unfortunately, is a very common manager problem. They all managers want to shave hours to keep folks from hitting overtime,
Yeah.
because overtime as a consumer you should know this. Overtime is a very, how can I say, very important data point. It is a data point, it is a subject that managers really pay attention to,
Yes.
because it's costing your company more money as an overtime premium.
Yes.
So
Yep.
yeah, if they need it, it's great, but that, like, overtime could be a whole nother episode. But
Yeah.
they,
I just want to
they
say one thing about
yeah, go ahead, go for it.
real. One manager told me, he said that think about it in terms of gasoline, right? The regular, like the 82, whatever, or the 87, is like unleaded, is your regular rate. The premium is like your OT. We don't want to see that OT.
You've had some very interesting managers, sir.
I use so many different stories, man. I'm telling you. They was in the
That's great.
military. Yeah.
Oh, that that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just keep pay rate hours. I thought pay rate. It'll come back to me. Another one is your deductions. Make sure your deductions are accurate. Again, like we just talked
Yes.
about with the tax, paying the wrong tax to the wrong state. I've had people pay. Look, open enrollment is coming up right now. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
then what happens a lot is the beginning of the new year, you forgot what you picked in open enrollment,
Yep.
and or you didn't pick something, you forgot what you picked,
Just like you
and
picked the
then
wrong thing.
you
Yep.
picked the wrong thing, and then January you get paid and your check looks crazy because you picked some stuff in open enrollment that you forgot about. And look, you still have to pay attention because it could be little amounts of money. It could be death by 1,000 cuts. So pay
So
attention to your
yeah,
check, because it might be a small amount that that's hitting you. Go ahead, I'm sorry, you were gonna say something.
I wanted to ask you a question about it. And it might be more something. It might be something that we have to talk about with a benefits person or HR professional. But if that does happen with someone and they or they enroll into the wrong benefits, and how can they change that with their employer?
Oof, that's a really great question. So during open enrollment, what should happen at your company is a correction period after your
Mm,
regular open enrollment, and that is a time where you can review and make sure everything is what you picked is correct. Look, the answer is it depends, because some companies, they're very hard and fast on what you picked. If you made an error, it's on you and you got to live with it.
mm-hmm.
But that's not, I've seen that in the past. Feel like most companies are more realistic and are try to accommodate, especially in
Yeah.
Jan. That's when, and again, ties perfectly back. Look at your pay stub, because January is probably the time where you could change something that you mistakenly picked, or something's changed, because open enrollment is happening now, but the impact on your check is not until January.
Mm-hmm.
So you forget what you picked, and life things can happen. Just again, review your check in January to make sure that your elections are accurate, and that would should be the only opportunity you have. Now come March, April, May, down the line, you're talking about, oh, this is wrong. It's very unlikely that the company is going to accommodate at that point, because you've gone already months into the new year,
Yeah.
and you're going to need a life event at that point.
Yeah. They're gonna be, the company will probably give you a hard time
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Now, if you were over deducted, then they may be more inclined to do it. But
Absolutely.
yeah, you just have to
If
be
it's in
prepared for
right.
that. Yeah.
If because a lot of times right now the systems, if they have a robust or a online digital solution for open enrollment, there's a confirmation at the end of that process. They're
Yeah.
spitting out a document to you,
Hmm.
most likely emailing it to you. They're presenting it on screen, and they're like, "Look, here's what you picked.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is
Yep.
you're confirming this." So come January, when you say I didn't know, as professionals, we can pull back the confirmation and be like, yeah, but you signed off on this and you confirmed on this day that these were your elections.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but January is the time to check and trust but verify and just make sure everything is good. And that's your opportunity to say, okay, company, I made a mistake. How can I change this? Or
Yeah.
look, your financial situation could have changed, and if you actually have a legitimate life event, it's an easy change,
Yeah.
and that's it. All you got to so if you have an actual life event, then it's an easy change. To circle back to the pay stub, January is the day, the month to look at your pay stub, see what's happening new, so
Yeah.
that you do have an opportunity to make any changes and corrections that you might have because of it. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. Thank you, man.
yeah, of
Thank you.
course.
So number 3, check your name. I know it sounds silly, but there's been plenty of times where people they see that their name is spelled wrong, and then they make
Hmm.
a change in the system and say they changed their direct deposit, and they get a check when their name is printed wrong. I've seen people go to the
Yep.
bank,
Yep.
and the bank say, "Hey,
That
because
ain't you.
this is yeah,
Yep.
this name is spelled different. I'm sorry. You need
Yep.
to get a new check."
That's right. That's exactly right. And it could be one letter,
Mhm.
transposition error. But if
Mhm.
that bank teller wants to be a stickler, they can just be like, nope, it's not the same. And rightfully, because in this day and age, things are so easily like fraud is such
Mhm.
it's so rampant. It's fraud and cybersecurity. It's all such a big subject in the world. So they should reject it. Really should
Mhm.
reject it. And to circle back, you should get direct deposits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that all you're doing is reviewing a pay stub. I know folks that just are against direct deposit, but folks, I promise you, man,
Yeah.
it's
It's
you
more to
know,
your benefit.
it's yes.
To your benefit.
Think about business continuity. Think
Mhm.
about, and that just means disasters.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid. Look at the pandemic. You got folks got sent home in the pandemic, and yeah, now you're not at work to go get your check distributed. Now,
Yeah.
what if you stood with live checks? You got to get the check mailed to your house now. You
Or
know what I mean?
that
That creates
could.
more time.
Yeah.
So direct deposit is the solution. Try to go get past whatever barriers you have for direct deposit and get direct deposit.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely. Good nugget there, man.
yep,
So number 4, check your address. Check
yep,
the Addy, as the young
yep.
kids say.
Check your Addy. Yep,
Oh man, that sound
yep.
old.
And you, oh yeah, we old. So same thing with the address. If information is different, more that's where we're mailing your documents.
Yep.
And there's some things that still have to be mailed, especially your W 2. W 2, again, I urge you to get it digital
Yep.
because a W 2 is not something you want floating around in the mail.
W2. There's that the benefit summary that the
1095.
1095, yes,
Yep.
that you
You don't
normally
want
get.
that float. Yep. You don't
Yep.
want that float. Try to go digital with things.
Mhm.
Get it online, download it to your own computer,
Yep.
and keep it safe. And that's it.
And then
Um,
another reason you want your address to be correct is in the system is because you never
taxes.
know about the taxes, like
Yeah,
whether that's
taxes.
local or
Duh.
state. You
Yep.
need to like make sure that your address is correct, because if you're in Ohio or Pennsylvania or one of those places and you have
Mm-hmm.
the wrong zip code or you have the wrong
Mm-hmm.
address, you're gonna end
Mm-hmm.
up owing some taxes, or your taxes will be funky at the end of the year.
Yep.
Just watch out for that.
And now I'm going to skip over the next one because it's a great segue into the don't leave your stub unsecure.
Okay. Yep. Gotcha.
They're
Hmm.
just great point. For
Yep.
these reasons, for all these security reasons, don't leave your stub laying around. You know
Don't
what I mean?
don't leave your phone open with your stuff,
Don't
even
leave
if
your
it's
phone.
digital.
Oh, I love that.
You know.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Don't leave your phone or your computer open.
Yep.
We had that. We had to learn on their little shortcut tips on your computer, the keyboard. Lock your computer real quick. Do those things. Be diligent. Close your computer. Close your iPad. Close your phone.
Yeah.
If you
Close
got
your
paper,
device.
yeah, close your devices. Close it. Lock them out so
Hmm.
that you not folks are not in your business. And if you get a paper pay stub,
Hmm.
secure it away.
Yes.
or I don't know, shred it at some point. You got to secure them away. You
Take a
should be
picture of it.
yeah, there you
Take
go.
a picture of it and
Keep
shred
it
it.
secure. Yep. What I told my mom or when she was working, keep your stubs through a month after you file taxes or through filing taxes. Make sure that everything is good, and then shred them.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Keep your pay stub secure.
Yes, yes. And did you want to go back to that the
Yeah,
other
go
one?
back. Yeah, sure. Yep.
So now this only applies in certain situations. Your PTO balances. Some employees or some employers, some payroll systems, however they're structured, will display PTO balances on the stub.
Yep.
And if yours do, you always want to make sure you check your balance to make sure your accrual rate is right. Because if they have a date in the system wrong, it could impact
Affect your accrual.
your
Sure.
accrual. Make sure your balance is correct. Make sure that the time that you're taking off has been recorded. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So
Yep.
just check those things.
Great call out. Yeah, just to touch on what you're saying, it's mandatory in some states to show it,
Yep.
but it's best practice also for it should be a default for most systems to have it there.
Yep.
Another one is we just talked about this too.
Yep.
Don't file your taxes on your last pay stub.
Yeah, I know you said that in another episode, but
It,
I thought it was a great nugget to
yeah,
back up.
exactly. Because we are in legal we are in legal rights to still change what your year end amount will be between
Mm-hmm.
your last pay stub and when you actually get your W-2.
Yep.
That is why there is a lag
Yep.
between those two things
Yep.
because the payroll department, the HR department, the accounting, the tax department, everybody that's impacting your year end statement, your W-2, has an opportunity to reconcile and to make sure it's accurate, fix things up, and also add on any fringe benefits that you may have been impacted by. And what I mean by fringe benefits,
Yeah.
very simple example is let's say you got a cell phone this year or some equipment that was given to you, but you are responsible for the taxes of
Yep.
that, right? Meaning it increases the amount of earnings you owe on. So your box one will be increased. Let's say you made $50,000 this year, and
Mm-hmm.
let's use for round number sake, 50,000 goes in your box one, but you
Mm-hmm.
got $1,000 cell phone. They're gonna add on the $1,000 there to make it 51,000, so that you can go pay taxes on 51,000 and not 50.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's basically what fringe benefits are,
Yep.
or the impact of. So again, try not to do
Don't.
that. People's not going to listen, but try not to file on your last pay stub because
Yeah.
again, there is an opportunity for your company to
Yeah.
correct and add on. And let me say correct because look, there's sometimes where companies make mistakes. There's been times where your W-2 is going to may come wrong, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And they need time to fix it.
There are,
So,
or you worked for another one of your companies in a
oh yeah,
different location, and you're gonna
yep,
have two W
two
twos, and you
W-2s.
can't go
Yep.
just file off your last stub from your main company because
That's a great call out. Let's
yeah,
say you worked multiple positions at one job, triggers multiple W-2s. You're going off the last pay stub you got,
mm,
not remembering that you have three other stubs out there to include.
yep,
You don't remember? Oh, wait, I don't remember the last pay stub I did for that. So again, folks, just wait for your W-2s. Try not to
yes,
file off your last pay stubs. It's not a best practice.
absolutely. Number 8, hours worked in 1 year but paid in another. So
It's a
th-
great call out.
this is something that has come up a few times, and I think some consumers, employees have a misconception. They're like, "Oh, all the hours that I worked in 1 year need to be on
Mm-hmm.
my W-2 at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
year." That's not how it works. It's based on check date.
Yep.
It's based on what year that check date is in. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? So if even if I worked some hours at the end of December, and part of my pay period was in December, and the next part of it was in the new year in
Mm-hmm.
January, and that pay date is in January of the following year, then that's the year that my taxes apply to, even
Yep.
though there was hours worked in the previous year. So I
Yep.
just wanted to point that out.
Yep. And again, I know it's a great call out because a lot of times January comes, you're looking at your W-2, you're looking at pay stubs, and you're comparing. The savvy consumer is doing this anyway,
Yep.
and that's what we want you guys to be, a savvy consumer. Anywho,
Yep.
um, and I usually get the call
Hmm.
in January talking about my W-2 isn't right because of the time and this. I worked here, I worked there, or
Yep.
because it's usually time worked, like you said, time worked in the prior year but paid out in the new year.
Yep.
They're like, where's that at? It's not right.
Yep.
No, it's right. Your pay period is your pay period, right?
Yep.
The correcting calculation, or if you want to make sure you're good, is you should be able to look at any 12-month period, any rolling 12 months, and you should have your, and you should see your annual, right?
Yep.
If I look back at my last 12 months, I will see it should come close to what I make annually.
Yep.
The payroll and calendar it doesn't work like that. Like, it's just like Walter said, it's check date driven.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's what it is. Yeah, it's I know. Absolutely. Thank you.
Number 9, employee self-service. I wanted to add this on here. This is where I was going to mention the Paycom that we talked about.
Oh, okay, got it.
So because it falls similar to that, where you have certain things are that where you have certain responsibilities as an employee in order for you to get paid. Look, there's some employers that require you to sign off as an employee. Hey, you need to sign your timesheet. You
Yep.
need to confirm that these
Yep.
hours are, you're agreeing to get paid these hours that are
Hmm.
on the sheet or in the system, right? And that's a part of employee self-service. You're able to do that, but further on is, or furthermore, a part of that is the changing of your certain information, your direct deposit info, your home address, your name, your email, your contact information, your emergency contacts.
Yep.
Those are all part of the employee self-service. Even the enrollment period that comes for benefits,
Yep. Open
deductions,
enrollment. Yeah.
that is a part of employee self-service. So those are things you should educate yourself on. And a lot of times on the website that your company is having process the payroll, like they'll have stuff on the home screen. Like the company we work for now, if you log in as an employee, there's stuff that's posted by the company
Yep.
that you can
That
read
you should
on,
know.
that you should
Hmm.
research as an employee. And then a lot of times people don't take interest in that. They just want to go
Nope.
see, their balance. They just want to go see their last stub, or in case they need it or whatever. They really don't read that information. So take some time out and read that information when you can, because it can help you
Yes,
as you yeah.
your company's trying to communicate with you.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely.
And that's one of the biggest challenges right now is communication. And the employees that we just log in, what do we want to do? We want to see our pay, and maybe we want to request PTO. That's it.
Yep.
They just jump to right where. But if you want to be a savvy consumer,
Yeah.
right? Go just read those things on the homepage. Read your company's communications,
Yeah.
because later on you can't say I didn't know and now I'm being hurt. No, don't cry later because you
Hmm.
didn't want to stay. You didn't want to read the newsletter. You didn't you get mad at the company or whatever, and
Hmm.
you mad at your life. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And don't be ignorant because you're mad at the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be a
Yeah.
savvy consumer
Yeah.
and stay on point, stay up to date on the company and what's going on. It impacts you and
Yes.
your money at the end of the
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
So stay in the know, because being ignorant is not an excuse.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch back on this point. I think it was maybe the last episode, or I forget which episode it was, but we made mention of the point like, hey, you pay taxes for certain services as an American.
Yes.
You pay taxes.
Yes.
And so if you have a subscription to a streaming service, you expect to be able to log into that streaming
Hmm.
service and view the shows and have access to the TV that you want to watch, right? And if you're not getting the quality of service that you're paying for that subscription, you will make note about it, or you would cancel that subscription.
Yep.
Good. We can't cancel taxes. So
Nope.
we can't do that. But you need to know and have education. You need to be more involved in this stuff, because your decisions can impact
That's right.
the public services. So just be
Absolutely.
just real. We just trying to empower you to understand how much power you have as a consumer.
Absolutely. Be a savvy consumer.
Yes.
And that's right. You have the access. You have every. And nowadays, it's really about teaching yourself.
Yeah.
Everything is a tutorial. Everything
Mhm.
got a video, and but the You have to go ahead and get it. And that's what we're trying to urge you to do. Be a savvy consumer. Go learn about your pay
Absolutely.
stub. Go learn about the employee self-service things. A lot of folks send us questions, and I'm like, hey, that's an employee self-service item.
Yep.
Please log on to your system,
Yep.
and I'm glad to show them how to do it, right? And
Yes.
folks who work with me, they know me by now. They learn really quick. Brian likes to teach to fish, not just give you the fish.
Yep. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
that's the basis of it. That's the heart of it.
Yeah.
I like to teach you how to fish, and we're trying to teach folks who get a paycheck how to fish.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Yes,
like the
sir.
last nugget you got there. That's a big one.
Yes. So like a lot of people don't know about this, and it's
Nope.
something that I found out about, and I try to
Yep. Me
pass it
too.
on. Like,
Yep.
go look at your state, Google
Unclaimed.
unclaimed
Yep.
property wages in my
Mm-hmm.
state, and you'll find a website that your state has where you can
Mm-hmm.
actually look yourself up. You can
Yep.
even look up certain. You would
Family
just have to
members, if you
prove
know the
that.
info. Yep.
Yeah, you would have to prove that you're related, but you can look up certain information and have access to your unclaimed wages. There's billions of dollars in unclaimed wages in the U.S.
Mm.
People just have money sitting out there. I remember I told one of my employees about this, and Googled her or looked up her grandmother in this on Florida. It was FloridaTreasureHunt.gov, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she looked on there, and lo and behold, her grandma was like had some unclaimed wages. It was like about $1,000 or something,
Wow. Look at that.
and she was able to get it for her.
Yep. That's
So I'm just
exactly
like,
right.
man, like this unclaimed stuff. Like I remember myself, I was stationed in Virginia in the military, and I remember that I had AT&T up there. So I went to the Virginia website for unclaimed property, and oh look, my deposit there that I made years ago to AT&T was just sitting there in
Wow.
unclaimed wages. It was like $50. Oh, okay.
Wow. I'll
Let me
take
get
it.
my $50. Yep.
That's right.
So
No,
please, yeah.
I learned this on the job
Mm-hmm.
because as a payroll professional, it's called the ESCH.
Cheatment.
It's cheatment, yeah.
Yes.
SESCHEAT.
Yep.
And it's a whole process. It's a whole thing, folks.
Uh,
Companies are obligated to turn over money that's not theirs, that is for someone else, to the
mhm,
state
mhm.
after going through the process of trying to get it to you. So the company has to try to get it to you. If they can't get it to you, they can't find you, then they have to turn it over to the state.
Yep.
In every state, there's a website, right? And
Mhm.
you could actually look up anybody, but to get it, you have to prove that they don't tell you the amounts. You got to prove who you are there. Like my mom found stuff for her dad.
Nice.
And yeah, she went through the whole process there and stuff like that. People find money on here all the time. It's unclaimed wages or property, like you said,
Yeah.
because it's not just a paycheck,
Yeah.
and it's in every state that you should do it for every state you've ever lived in, because
Yes.
you don't
Yes.
remember what you did.
Man, I remember that's a good point. And
Hmm.
like emphasis on the property part, right? Because there could be some land that's in your
Yep.
family
Yep.
that your great grandfather owned, and he still
Yeah.
owns it to this day
Yeah.
or whatever. And it could be in your family. So please
Yep.
go check this stuff out, because you could have funds just sitting out there
Yep.
that are in your family that you can have access to that will help, especially in today's climate with inflation.
Yep.
So go ahead and get that going for yourself. And if you
Be a
find,
savvy.
and if you have, yes, be a savvy consumer. But
Yeah.
so what do I do as a consumer, Brian, if I say it's been like 8 months and I'm cleaning out my house, I'm doing spring cleaning, and I find an old uncashed check? What do I do?
Call you if you still work for that company. Call the payroll department,
What if I don't
because
work for that company?
if you don't work for the company, you should. If it's only 8 months, you still don't work. You should still call them.
Okay.
Months is right at the time where they're probably right about to turn it over or find you to reissue the mail again. If
Mhm.
they'll be like, "Oh man, you just came up in a report. Yeah, hold on, let's get your new address. We'll send it right out."
Yep.
Because the company, right after it expires, the company has to go through the process of getting it out to the employee before they send it. State
Yep.
doesn't want you to just start sending over what we call stale check. These checks that have, like Walt say, you find it in your drawer, it expired, I can't cash it now, but I never cashed it, so what do I do? There, the company should be going through that process. The state doesn't want it right away, like 6 months. No, go ahead and try to get that to that person first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go through that process, and every state has rules. You that can take you another 6 months if you want, or depending on the rules. But after a certain time of trying to get it back to
Mm-hmm.
that person, then they have to turn it over to the state. So,
Absolutely.
anywho, 8 months is great because you might still find it where that you can just get the check reissued. The company is just going to void that one and reissue you another one. So you find an old check, try to get back to that company. If not, take your butt on to the state website because it's probably posted there. It's
Yep.
probably there.
Absolutely.
Yep. So this should have been where we ended because it's a nice little nugget to give to folks. Hey, you might have money out there, or your family might have money. But just I was thinking about this concept of gross up as I prepared for the episode, and gross up is a very payroll professional term.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the savvy consumer is even aware of this term called gross up.
Yeah.
But the easy way to explain gross up is if you get a bonus payment, right? If your company, oh man, you did it amazing, I'm going to bonus you $500. But if your company grosses it up, then you get an actual net of $500 take home pay, and not $500 and then you're taxed and you might come out with 200 and change. No.
Yep.
So as a savvy consumer, if you're ever offered a bonus,
Yes.
ask them to gross it up.
Why else is that? Because of the tax rate?
No, just because you'll get the actual bonus amount.
Yeah.
The company covers the taxes for you.
Mhm.
That's what the gross up is. The company takes the hit on the taxes and you get a net amount of what they are promising you. I'm going to bonus you $500, but if they don't gross it up, you're going to get $200. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you ask them to gross it up and they agree, you're going to get $500.
Gotcha.
So that's the simple way. And I know you're about to ask more stuff, but I think it's too complicated for the savvy consumer. For me to simplify it, how about that? Savvy consumer, you should go out and research it a bit more. But
Yeah.
the real rough explanation of it is that you will actually net out what they want to give you.
I think it'd definitely be worthy of its own episode.
Yeah.
Even if it's a short one, I think that
For sure.
could definitely be worthy of it. And
There's a bunch of them. I think I think we got to go back and pick out these subjects that are like direct deposit. We always say it could be an episode. Overtime.
Yeah.
Gross up. And it's both for the payroll professional, of course, and to be a savvy consumer. Yeah. So again, folks, if you get offered a bonus, ask them to gross it up because you get the whole bonus amount. You know what I mean? So just again, a couple of tips as a savvy consumer to cap off this episode: review your pay stub.
Yep.
Go out there and look on your state website, see if your family has any money to be claimed in all the states that you worked in.
Yes.
And if you get offered a bonus, ask them to gross it up.
Gross it up.
Gross up. So that's all we got. I have for you today. Walt, you got anything else?
No, I love how we ended it off there.
Yes.
Sharing that about gross up.
Yep.
That was amazing. Get some money.
And
I think we're good.
Awesome. Thanks again, folks. We hope we're helping. We want you to be a savvy. Keep listening. Next episode, we are going to just do an overview of things and connect it to the year-end statement because we are quickly approaching year-end and W-2s. And guess what? All these pay stubs add up to be your W-2.
Yes.
We'll cover that next, folks. We love you. Keep coming back. Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of our podcast. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. And we hope that the information that was shared with you will impact you as a payroll professional. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.